Hello and welcome to another Sprues and Brews unboxing. Today we're looking at the brand new army set for the Helsmiths of Hashut for Warhammer Age of Sigmar. So can you believe it? But Age of Sigmar is 10 years old and yeah, they're releasing a brand new army to commemorate the event. Now I say brand new, obviously old school players will recognise these chaps as Chaos Dwarfs. Yeah, the Helsmiths of Hashut have kind of been mentioned in the lore kind of over the years. When the Cruel Boys came out, the Hobgobs kind of were mentioned as working for the Chaos Duardin. We've seen them in Warcry as well, and obviously we did have a range back in the day. Shartor the Executioner, the big bull centaur character, and there's been some Helsmiths in the past. This is the first time we've got a full kind of plastic army release for the Helsmiths. And yeah, they look really cool. I know a lot of people have been kind of craving Chaos Dwarfs from the Warhammer Fantasy days, and like with all of the Age of Sigmar ranges, they've taken the concept of that army and given it a kind of a new look and a new identity within the kind of spectrum of Age of Sigmar. So really cool. So this is the big kind of like launch box for them, and in here we get the brand new Battletome and all the cards for all the units in the book, not just the stuff in this box, but kind of all of those units. And you also get a full Spearhead force as well. So I suspect this is going to be the Spearhead box when it's available separately. But yeah, you get some nice stuff in here. You get the new Dominator engine, which is the big kind of like cow robot thing that does have two builds with like a melee option and a ranged option. You get the new Tormentor Bombard, and again that does have a secondary build with like a rocket launcher. That's like an anti-monster weapons platform. We get a War Despot, a new character for them, and we get a unit of Infernal Cohort. They've got a couple of different weapon options as well, so this is quite a nice one for, you know, if you pick up this box, and then if it is available as a Spearhead separately, most of these kits you can build in a different way, which is really nice. And you've got the two different Dominator engines, you've got the two different kind of weapons platforms, and then two units kind of with different loadouts too. So this is a really nice way of doing it, I suppose, because it's a brand new army as well. You know, they're kind of limited in kind of the kits they can put in the box, and we've got quite a few kits coming out after this as well, with the new kind of ranged units and the big kind of centerpiece kind of Taurus model, and then the bull centaurs. So yeah, there's lots and lots of cool stuff coming for the Helsmiths of Hashut, and I'm really excited to paint these up. I've been torn on a colour scheme for these guys, whether I go with the kind of burgundy box art scheme or go more of a classic red. I was leaning towards the red, but the more I've kind of looked through the book in here, the more I kind of like the classic scheme that they've done here with the burgundy colours. I think because my Fire Slayers are kind of in blues and stuff, these contrast quite nicely. So yeah, so without further ado, should we open this up and see what we get inside? I'm super excited to get working on these. I've been a big fan of Chaos Dwarfs since Warhammer Fantasy, since they had the White Dwarf supplements. And yeah, to get an army for Age of Sigmar of evil, chaotic dwarfs is very cool. So we get 4 kits in the box. If we pull out the first one, is the new artillery platform, and like I say, this does have 2 builds. I don't know how swappable that's going to be. I'll have a look and certainly see if it is possible, but I think they're quite different builds depending on which one that you do. One of them's kind of got rockets, the other one's kind of a big cannon designed for anti-infantry and anti-cavalry. I think because it gets sandwiched between there, you're probably going to find it a bit more difficult to swap them out, but again, we'll see as we get building it. But yeah, very nice. I am very looking forward to painting these, and I need another one of these to build both loadouts as soon as possible. Hopefully the main release isn't too far after this army set as well, if you just want to pick up these kits kind of individually. We get the new hero. He's just little clan pack size. Not many parts, he's not going to be too difficult to build. No kind of like alternate build parts on there. I believe we do get another hero coming in the main wave, the Helsmith. I've got one of the old Warhammer World exclusive resin ones back when, you know, Age of Sigmar did have some Forge World models for the Chaos Dwarfs. But yeah, he's really, really cool. We then get the big kind of monster siege engine thing, the big cow robot. And again, like I say, this has got a couple of different builds as well. So another one again where having another one of these isn't necessarily a bad thing, because you'll be able to build 2 different units with it as well, which is nice. I think that's been kind of purposely designed, because a lot of people will pick this up, then pick up the Spearhead, and through them kind of get enough models to start putting an army together. So yeah, very, very cool. I'm really, really looking forward to building and painting these. Again, I wasn't too keen on the green fire that they did in the box art, but that's growing on me too. And then the final kit you get in here are the Infernal Guard, I think they're called, the Infernal Cohort. So this is like your main kind of infantry unit, and these have options for kind of spears and kind of just a normal melee option. Now in the Battletome, those are 2 different units as well. So again, some kits in Age of Sigmar, it doesn't matter whether you give them spears or swords, but it does on these. They are 2 different loadouts, so make sure you have a full kind of read of the book before you do decide which one to do. Again, I think most people will do the same and pick up another box, you know, of the Spearhead, so you've got a nice assortment of different troops. And obviously there's a few more kits that are following this that haven't come out yet. But yeah, these are really, really nice models. I'm looking forward to painting them up. Lots of nice kind of nods to the original Chaos Dwarfs, but they've still got their own kind of like Age of Sigmar identity, which is always good to see. So that's all the kits that you get in the box. We do get a lot of other goodies in here though as well. So we'll take this out. One interesting thing, they do have a full transfer sheet covering the 4 main kind of like clans, I guess. They are in the Battletome as well, so when we look through that you'll see all those. You also get some nice script as well that can go onto the models too, so yeah, really, really nice little transfer sheet. Obviously all the bases are in the box as well, so they all live in there too. So what we're going to do is have a look through this. Now we will go through the full Battletome in the second half of the video to kind of see what's, you know, how the army works, how they play, all the stuff that they do. It's a really, really nice limited edition cover with that all kind of writhed in its green ghostly flame. So very, very cool. So we'll look at that shortly. You also get in here the cards as well. This is something that they've done for you know, all the recent army sets, which is nice, that you've got the full kind of cards in here, which is handy. So yeah, we'll put that to one side, because again we'll look through the profiles as we go through the book. Before we do though, just wanted to have a quick look at the assembly instructions, just so we can see how they go together and what kind of options we've got in there. So the War Despot, fairly easy to put together. He's just got a few parts, no kind of optional assemblies. When we get to the Dominator engine though, you'll see that we do have a couple of options available. You can give him the Bane Maces or the Immolation Cannons, both of which sound terrifying. I think there's a little bit of difference in the stance, maybe based on which one that you build as well. So that's cool. Maybe 2 different heads too, by the look of things. But yeah, he is very, very cool. Again, I don't know which one to build. I'm going to have a look through the book and have a play with some lists to see which one I want to do. But I quite like the shooty one. But I'll have to get another one to build, is the close combat one too. Equally, the Infernal Court, you have got options with blades or with spears. They do have different rules. So again, just kind of bear in mind which variation you want to do. And there's quite a few different parts across these models as well, so You've got a little bit of customization available. A few different toppers for their banners too, which is nice to see. But the individual models don't have too many parts, so I think they're going to be quite easy to build, which is nice. And then we've got the Bombard, which again does have 2 different builds. There might be potential here for swapping them out. So it looks like you build the main chassis first and then the crew, which it recommends building separately. And then the weapon options, I wonder if you would be able to have these swappable. So you've got the main cannon for that one, and then on this one it's a separate platform. It looks like it uses that same base plate, but you might be able to get away with just kind of sticking that on the axle bit. Some of the kind of detail at the back of it is a little bit different maybe, but yeah, I definitely think there could be potential there for having the main gun swappable, so that's pretty cool. So yeah, so right, what we're going to do now is jump ahead to the future and have a look at the Battletome itself. So let's take a look at the Helsmiths of Hashut Battletome to see how they play. Really enjoyed reading through this one. Obviously the Chaos Dwarfs have been in Warhammer Fantasy, and we get quite a lot of nods to the background in here. There's some really cool lore developments, so I don't want to go too spoilery in here, but we do kind of find out where Hashut sits in like the dwarven gods pantheon, and there's some really interesting connections to the existing gods and the background and how they kind of not betrayed him, but got him to the point where he was kind of bitter and twisted and ended up travelling into the realm of chaos and kind of discovering how to imbue kind of demonic essence into things. And kind of fast forward hundreds of years later, and the kind of the dwarfs that would become the Helsmiths ended up being trapped within a within one of their kind of keeps, besieged by demons, and Hashut kind of whispered to them and taught them the arts of trapping demons and not just using them to kind of imbue their power into their creations, but also to use them as fuel as well. So I've seen a lot of people comment about kind of all the green fire and stuff. That basically represents demons being used as a fuel source for these devices as well, which is really cool. I really like that side of things. I think it's an interesting twist on it, and obviously that puts them at odds with the rest of the kind of chaos faction as well, because obviously they see that as, you know, heretical and taking these demons and using them as a fuel source, and obviously the Helsmiths of Hashut, that they're kind of above that. Really cool. We kind of see this structure of society as well, where basically as you rise in power, the number of kind of dwarves that kind of owe you or are not kind of dependent on you because of the power you hold over them, it's really quite cool. So you see a lot of kind of power jostles and struggles, and yeah, really interesting. I thoroughly enjoyed diving into the lore of this book, and again, I suspect it's something that's going to get expanded over the years. You know, it wouldn't surprise me if there's another Battletome at some point, probably next edition now, but with an expanded range as well. While there's a lot of kits kind of covered within this book, I do feel like there's potential for more things to be added. I mean, the army looks amazing laid out like that, doesn't it? Really cool. I know the Taurus has been a bit Marmite, but I think he looks amazing. And yeah, can't wait to get that. And obviously, like with the rest of the other recent Battletomes as well, we do kind of get a bestiary with kind of background and kind of shots of the painted models for each profile as well. I much prefer this than the old kind of army showcase pages they did, because for new players it lets you easily identify kind of what unit's what, and it also kind of makes it easy to relate that lore and background to the miniatures as well, which is really cool. So yeah, very cool. I really enjoy painting up the stuff in the box, which we'll see in a little bit. But yeah, the kits that are on the way look phenomenal for these. Now we do get a kind of background for the 4 main kind of clans. So the Forge Anathemas, the kind of purple scheme, and that really kind of represents the I guess the core force at the minute. But then we've got another 3 factions. So all Zorn are more like the kind of classic Chaos Dwarfs from Warhammer Fantasy. Tsar Vixar, I believe, is based on the Legion of Asgore from Tamerkan's Horde time. So it's really cool how they've kind of got nods to these previous incarnations of the Chaos Dwarfs. Like with a lot of Age of Sigmar stuff, it's not just taking the Chaos Dwarfs and dropping them into Age of Sigmar. They've also really tried to give them their own kind of background and identity, and Age of Sigmar is it, if that makes sense. So yeah, really like what they've done here, and whenever there's a new army out and all the lore to kind of dive into, I really enjoy that side of things. So yeah, really cool book, and thoroughly enjoyed kind of reading through it. But obviously a lot of people watching this will want to know about the rules, and yeah, they've done some really interesting things with this as well. So the main mechanic revolves around demonic power points. So in each player turn, and that's in your turn and the opponent's turn, if you've got a Helsmiths of Hashut unit that is on a terrain feature or objective, you can give that terrain feature or objective a desolation token. So you'll be getting 2 of these per battle round, 1 in your turn, 1 in your opponent's turn, and then at the start of your turn you get a demonic power point for each of those desolation tokens that are down on the battlefield. Now it's a shame that this box doesn't come with any tokens to do for that. I'm probably going to have to use dice. I am thinking of doing some, I don't know, green LEDs and some cotton wool to pop on objectives and terrain features to represent that they've got a desolation token on them, and then maybe use green dice to represent the demonic power. But basically you take this demonic power and you put it on your units. Each unit has got basically different abilities that trigger based on the amount of demonic power that they've got. Obviously at the start of the game you've not got much. You have got a command ability you can use here that can give a unit 2 demonic power if you've got less than 3 on friendly units, or 1 if you've got more than 3. So basically that means at the start of the game, you know, you can get a couple more points, and then as the game goes on that reduces, but it might give you that important extra demonic power point to trigger a level 3 ability. In addition to this, there are a couple of ways of getting demonic power. So Infernal Cohort with Spears, for example, can give a friendly unit a token as well. So there are quite a few ways of getting this, and towards the end of the game a lot of your units are going to be like fully maxed up on the demonic power. At the end, basically it's not like you take everything off them and then put them on again fresh, so you're not kind of gaining more per turn. It's more a case of shuffling around the power that you've got to put to the units that are best suited. So I really like that. There's some really cool stuff you can do with demonic power. The battle formations all lean into demonic power too. So these basically give an additional bonus to certain units having 3 tokens. So the Hashutite Coast, all your infantry, if they've got 3 tokens, they get an additional 3 rally rolls when they rally. So that's pretty good if you're infantry heavy. Castigation Battery I really like. It gives war machines with 3 tokens an extra attack on their ranged attack. So that's really good when we see some of the weaponry we've got later on. Bullfather's Horns is good as well. So cavalry and monsters with 3 power points get an extra 2 movement, which is really handy. And then finally the Demon Smith Cabal. Any of your wizards and priests with 3 demonic power points get +1 to casting, unbinding, banishment and chanting rolls. So really good. I really like these 2 the most, but there's definitely use for all of them, so I think they're all really fun. From the heroic traits point of view, we've got some fun ones as well. So Servile Automaton, you basically pick your automaton, so all the big kind of cow monster things, to go and be the bodyguard of the hero that you've picked. And while your hero is within combat range of the automaton, the bodyguard gets strike first. So those big monsters with strike first is really good. and your hero, if they're infantry, get a 5+ ward save as well. So nice little double effect there where your guy gets more kind of survivable and you've got the bodyguard monster with you. I really like that. Obviously it's less effective if you're on a Taurus or something, but this is one that you want to stick on one of your infantry heroes. Fire Worms is really cool as well. So this basically gives you 40k Overwatch. So when an enemy unit charges one of your units within 12 inches of your hero with this trait, you can pick a ranged unit within 12 inches to shoot in the charge phase. They only hit on 6s, so pretty much works exactly like in 40k. And you've got a lot of guns in your army, so pretty cool one. There is one gun I think that gives strikes last, so that's pretty handy. Yeah, really like that one. And then finally, a Eye for Weakness is a nice straightforward one that's really useful too. Each hero phase, you pick an enemy unit within 18 inches, and your units get +1 to wound for melee attack. So 3 really good traits there. I think there's definitely use for all of them. Onto the artifact side of things, you've got the Scroll of Petrification. This is a one-use item, but it's quite cool. So you pick a friendly Helsmiths unit within 12 inches. That unit gets a 2+ ward save and can't use any of their own abilities, can't use any passive abilities, can't be the target of any friendly abilities, and enemy units can choose not to move through them and act as if they're not there. That's really cool because if it's a critical fight or they're sitting on an objective or something, you can basically make it really hard to kill that unit. Obviously it's one use only, so kind of it's going to be a bit more niche, but I think it's got a cool ability to it. Crucible of Spite is also a one-use item. This one I'm not too keen on. It gives the bearer 3 demonic power points, but then you can't allocate them any demonic power for the rest of the game. So if you really desperately need to get a good ward save on them, for example, you can do that, but I think there's probably better ones you could go for. And then the Gauntlets of Punishment's a nice straightforward one. In the shooting phase, you point at a unit within 12 inches, and on a 2+ you do that number of mortal wounds. So pretty good. I really like the Scroll of Petrification, but the Gauntlet of Punishment's like a nice one that you can use every turn as an extra shooting attack, so that's pretty fun. We do get a Spell Law and a Prayer Law. We don't get any manifestations and we don't get a terrain piece. I do expect that at some point in the future we're probably going to get something like that. But the laws in here are pretty cool. So we've got Hateful Fractures, nice straightforward one. It halves the movement characteristic of the target. Ashen Smog is also a really nice one. You pick a terrain feature, it gets the Obscurant keyword, and then everything near it on a 2+ takes mortal damage. Pretty cool. And then Molten Metal I really like. It's like an old Warhammer Fantasy spell, I forget which one it is, but basically the better your save is, the more deadly it is. So you roll 2d6, and then for each point that you beat the target save, you deal 1 damage. So say if somebody's got a 2+ save and the base cast here is an 8, you do 6 mortal damage to the target. Obviously if you rolled high you do even more damage, so really like that one for taking out heavily armoured targets, especially if you can get it off in a high cast. And then for the prayers, we've got some really good stuff as well. Now, it's a shame there's only one priest in the army, because I think it'd be nice to have multiple priests to kind of do a lot of these. Just a kind of a one cast priest, you're going to need a couple of them to get some of these off, and it's probably worth it because they're really good. So Black Flames of Hashut, you roll a dice for each model in the enemy unit, and for each 5+, you do a mortal wound. If you get it off on an 8, it's each 4+. So on a big unit, and get it off on a high chant value, you've got a really good chance of just like halving the unit, which is really cool. Furnace Blessing is really good, adds 1 to the rend characteristics of the target's weapons, and if you get it off on the boosted version, they get crit mortals as well, so that's very good. And then Storm of Obsidian Shards, this is a pretty good one. It just does a couple of D3 mortal damage, reduces the control score of the target, and then if you get it off on the boosted one, you can have that hit 2 units as well. So I really like all those priests, and I think it's going to be worth taking a couple of priests in your army just to take advantage of them. I do wish there was a two chant priest in the army somewhere to take more advantage of them. So onto the War Scrolls. We've got Uruktar, the first Demon Smith. He's like the big named character on the Taurus. He's pretty cool. He's got a pretty good ranged attack, 6 attacks, hits some wounds on 4s, only 1 rend, but D3 damage, and has crit 2 hits, and can shoot in combat as well, so pretty good. Not the most reliable shooting attack, but if you got lucky you could do quite a bit of damage with that. And then in combat, the Taurus itself's pretty cool. So 6 attacks, hits on a 4 like most monsters, but wounds on 2, 2 rend, does 3 damage, 4 damage on the charge, so pretty good. On top of that is Rampage. Basically you do D3 damage and then you can move 2d6, so you can jump from like one combat to another one, which is pretty cool. He gets a unique spell, which basically has you draw a 9-inch line between 2 points, and everything under the line takes mortal damage, which is pretty nice. And his ability, he can shuffle around demonic power in the enemy hero phase, which is pretty handy because normally you can only assign those in your own hero phase. So if you need to shift some demonic power to another unit, he lets you do it, which is cool. And then, like I said, all of the Helsmiths units have got different effects that they get as their demonic power goes up. So for 1 demonic power he gets a 6+ ward save, for 2 he gets +1 to cast and a 5+ ward save, and then for 3 he gets +2 to cast. He has a 4+ ward save against spells, prayers, manifestations, all that stuff, and then a 5+ ward save against everything else. So really, really like him. Though I am tempted by the Demon Smith on Infernal Taurus. So similar stat line. The Taurus fights just as well. His range attack's not quite as good, but this guy's got quite a lot of stuff if you go for a kind of cavalry heavy army, because it lets friendly cavalry retreat and also charge, and you don't take any mortal damage for retreating. So really nice if you take a load of like bull centaurs and stuff. He's got similar demonic abilities to him. He doesn't get the plus to cast, but basically 6+ ward, 5+ ward, then 4+ ward with his demonic power. And then he's got a Rampage, which basically, we've seen on a few things, roll over the damage characteristic of a model and you can kill it. So yeah, he's pretty cool as well, especially if you go cavalry heavy. Now on to our other heroes. We've got the War Despot. He's like your normal kind of combat person. He's got an okay profile, could do potentially 10 damage with crit mortals, has the usual kind of he fights then picks a unit to fight, which is really good. His main kind of ability though is a Black-Hearted Conqueror. He adds 3 to the control scores of all Helsmiths within 6 inches, and then for each demonic power token that he's got, that increases by 6 inches, so you can get quite a big aura on him to increase the control if you need to. So he's pretty cool. Demon Smith is your kind of standard wizard. He has again an okay shooting attack, crit 2 hits, D3 damage each. It's like a lesser version of the one that the guy in the Taurus has got. And he's really, as well as being a healer, he kind of heals up your constructs. So all of your war machines, both of the Taurus models have the war machine keyword, your artillery, your big cow monsters, and basically he heals D3 plus X, where X is a number of demonic power tokens on him. So yeah, really, really handy. You probably want a couple of these for healing your units. And then we've got the Ashen Elder. He is your priest, so as we mentioned earlier, there's some really good prayers, so he's well worth taking up. But in addition to that, all Helsmiths within 6 inches ignore the first point of damage they take each phase, and then for each point of demonic power assigned to him, that range extends by 6 each time as well. So really, really good. It's going to be hard fitting stuff into your army because I want all 3 of the heroes here, plus a guy on a Taurus, and ideally squeeze in a second priest if I can. But yeah, I think that damage mitigation rule is really good, and he's got some decent prayers too. So moving on to the rest of the units, we've got 2 ranged units, the Infernal Razors with Blunderbuss and the Infernal Razors with Flame Hurlers. The Blunderbuss has got less shots, but they're better shots, so they're hitting on 3s, wounding on 2s, 2 damage, while the Flamers have got 3 shots that hit on 2s, but wound on 4s and only 1 damage. You'll note both of them have got no rend, but both of these units get 1 rend for each point of demonic power that you give them. So, you know, these can be quite nasty if you can give them, you know, 3 rend with demonic power. And they've both got different abilities as well, so I think I mentioned this earlier in the video. Anyone shot by this unit, there's a chance that they get strike last, which is really handy. And then the flame hurlers have a chance of reducing control score. So they've got kind of different roles to them. They both look really, really cool as well. A big reinforced unit of Infernal Razor with blunderbusters I think would be pretty nasty as well. You know, go all out attack, that's 10 shots, hitting on 2s, wounding on 2s, juice them up with demonic power to give them 3 rend and then 2 damage each. Plus give your character the Overwatch ability. You could potentially shoot with these in the shooting phase, the enemy shooting phase, and then when they charge as well. So yeah, really, really like them. I think they're really cool. Hobgrot Vandals are basically the same as the Cruel Boys ones, but without the shooting attack. Instead of that, they've got the Disposable Lackeys rule, which basically gives them a free move at the start of the game. So these guys exist just to be cannon fodder and be thrown forward as a screen for your troops, which I guess makes sense. I don't get why they haven't got the ranged attack, but they do have heavier armour, so I guess they've got a different role in the army. So next up we've got the 2 main infantry units in the army, the Infernal Cohort with blades or spears. From a rules point of view, they're very similar. The blades have got anti-infantry 1 rend, where the spears are anti-cavalry and anti-charge. Otherwise, the kind of stats of the weapons are the same. Where they get, and both of them have got demonic power as well. So 1 token give them a 6+ ward, 2 give them a 5+ ward, 3 gives them a 5+ ward plus a 4+ ward against magic and prayers, similar to the other ones that we've seen earlier. Where they get different is in their abilities. So when you give them blades, the minimum they can run is 4 inches. So that's handy. They're quite slow. They're quite good for getting across the battlefield. I prefer them with spears though, because of their Conquered Land ability. So basically when they're standing on an objective, you could pick a friendly Helsmiths of Hashut unit, and on a 3+ you give them a demonic power point. So a couple of these units can get some extra demonic power points on, and obviously we've seen some of those 3 demonic power abilities are very, very strong, so any way of kind of teasing out extra demonic power points is really, really useful. So yeah, I quite like these, and I'm probably going to be building all mine with spears. There is a place for the sword ones to get across the battlefield faster, but I do feel that the demonic power is a really, really useful tool for the Helsmiths, and I'll probably be building them to take advantage of it. We then have 2 Bull Centaurs units. This is a dual kit as well. They're both pretty similar. So the Bull Centaurs have got 4 attacks, hitting on 3s, wounding on 3s, 1 rend, 2 damage, while the Anointed Sentinels only get 3 attacks. The Anointed Sentinels are anti-cavalry and charge +1 damage, where the Bull Centaurs are charge +1 damage and crit mortal. So you've got more damage output from the Bull Centaurs, who are really, really cool. When they charge in, you roll the dice for each model on the unit, you add the amount of demonic power they've got, and for each 6+ you do mortal damage. So a big unit of 6 of them with 3 demonic power, each 4+ is doing 1 mortal damage. So really nice to kind of like snag a support character or something and just run them down. You also get +1 to charge for each point of demonic power as well, making the charges a lot more reliable. So they're a really, really good unit with some decent damage output. The Anointed Sentinels, on the other hand, they get strike first if they countercharge. They still get the +1 to charge for each point of demonic power as well, so you've got a really reliable countercharge unit there, which can go in and maybe deal with things before they get to your lines. You are getting less attacks and you haven't got crit mortals on them, but otherwise I think they're a really, really good unit, and I can see some really good Bull Centaur heavy armies. We then get 2 different flavours of artillery. The Death Shrieker Rocket Battery is a dedicated anti-monster, anti-war machine one. Base profile, he gets 3 attacks, hitting on 4s, wounding on 2s, 2 rend and D3 +2 damage with anti-monster and anti-war machine, giving it 3 rend against those targets. Once per turn, so if you've got multiple of these, you pick 1 to do it on. When it's targeting a monster or war machine, it changes to flat 5 damage. Now remember earlier there was a formation that gives you an extra attack if you've got 3 demonic power on your artillery. So with that, you've got the potential of doing 20 damage on a monster with one of these, which is really, really cool. And then its demonic power kind of ability, for each demonic power token on it, you basically do splash damage to nearby units. So you'll roll, say if you've got 3 demonic power, you roll 3 dice for each unit within control range of the target, and for each 3+ you do 1 mortal damage. So that's pretty cool. Nice little splash damage to hit other things. But yeah, you really want to take that for taking out monsters. 3 rend against a monster at 5 damage is really good, especially if you can get up to that 4 attacks with that formation. I think they're quite reliable. And then even your other ones are still doing a minimum of 3 damage. So yeah, I think that's really good. On the other hand, the Tormentor Bombard is more kind of anti-cavalry, anti-infantry. So this has a longer range, gets 4 attacks, hits and wounds on 3s, only 1 rend but d3 damage. But it's got anti-cavalry and anti-infantry plus 1 rend. This thing, it gets +1 to hit if the target's got 5 or more models, so it's hitting on 2s against most infantry units. And again, this has kind of got an ability which does kind of splash damage, and rather than causing mortal wounds, it can cause a unit to not be able to use commands. So this one kind of lots of damage to nearby things. This one really good at taking out infantry and can shut them down from using commands as well. So really like both of them, and again I think there's a place for both of them in the army. Moving on to the Dominator engines, again this is another dual kit. There's 2 of these, they're only movement 6 base, but they've got 10 health and a 2+ save, so they're going to be tough to chew through. With Bane Maces, this is a bit of a combat bruiser, so he gets 4 attacks, hitting on 4s, wounding on 2s, 1 rend, 3 damage, 4 damage on the charge. For each demonic power token on it, it increases its movement by 1 and its attacks by 1. You'll remember earlier there was a sub-faction that gave +2 movements to monsters and war machines with 3 demonic power on, so in that case you could be up to what, 8, 9, 10, 11 movement on them, and then 7 attacks. Really cool. Its main kind of gimmick is though, after it's fought, if it's still within combat range of an enemy hero, it can fight again. At strikes last, but this is really good to go in, batter a unit, make sure you're near a hero to get that second fight, and then at the end of the turn, fight again. You don't have to target the other hero as well. The condition is just that it's within combat range of a hero. Now a lot of times you'll go into a unit, kill a unit, and then use the second fight to kill the hero, but there's some clever stuff you can do with that. Just make sure you try and tag a hero with it. And then on the other hand, you've got the Dominator engine with immolation cannons. This is crazy, but I think it's going to be... It might catch people out, but you're going to have to get in precision kind of movements to get this working. The Flamer's only got an 8-inch range, 5 attacks, hits on 2s, wounds on 4s, 1 rend, d3 damage. It does have anti-cavalry and it shoots in combat. The main gimmick for this one is that if you're targeting 2 or more units, you get +2 attacks for each target that you pick. So say for example, you've got 5 attacks on the profile, and you can get within range of 8 inches of 5 targets. You'd be able to put 3 attacks on each of those targets. So 1 attack each from the base attacks that it's got, and then each of the targets gets +2 attacks as well. So yeah, there's some funky stuff you can do on there. Again, if you take the formation that gives you extra attacks when you've got 3 demonic power, that gives you 6 attacks on it then, because it is a ranged attack. So yeah, there's some really fun stuff you can do with that. The only thing letting it down, I guess, is the low rend, but you've got the potential of getting close enough to snag a few kind of heroes that are hiding behind a unit. As long as you can get within combat range, you're going to be able to put out quite a bit of damage there, so that's pretty fun. I quite like this guy. I think the Bane Maces is probably better, but because it's going to be quite easy to keep your units away from 8 inches of the one with the immolation cannons. But if you manage to pull it off, it'd be really cool. So quite like him, very swingy, but I think he could do some really fun stuff. So yeah, that is the profiles. The combat, the spearhead for this one is the contents of the box. So I don't know when that's going to be released separately. Obviously, we saw the Gloomspite Gits, the Git Mob box. Only came out very recently, and the launch box came out back at the start of the year, so I suspect it might be a similar situation for this. But yeah, you get basically the contents of the box, the immolation cannons, and the bombard, and then spears for how you arm your infantry. You do get a full painting guide here as well, which is good. I use this for the basis of painting up the models I'm going to show you in a little bit. So that's pretty good. And then for the kind of Spearhead rules, we get kind of a similar version of the main rules. Demonic power is tweaked a little bit. You get to place demonic power points kind of based on the battle round number. So if it's the first battle round, you place 1 token. If it's the third battle round, you place 3 tokens. So you get the full kind of feel of using the demonic power, but without the having to generate them with the desolation tokens and stuff. So yeah, they're really, really good. The Dominator engine doesn't have the extra shots per unit it targets in this one, because I think in Spearhead 18 range isn't too bad because you've only got a small battlefield anyway. So I think that's going to be quite powerful in games of Spearhead. So yeah, really, really fun. As ever, we also get Path to Glory rules in here as well. I was hoping that there'd be rules to create a Bull Centaur hero. I guess there's no Bull Centaur hero in the book yet, so that's not the case. Hopefully that's something we get in the future. But what is cool is that you can build basically a combat guy, a priest, or a wizard with this. All of them can be mounted on a Taurus as well. So I was saying earlier I'd really like another priest. Well, with Path to Glory you can create a mounted priest and have him being a bit of a higher power level to cast a couple of prayers. I think that's probably what I'm going to do for Path to Glory, because I think that'd be really, really cool, and I really like the prayers. Other than that, we've got the same kind of stuff that we get in most Path to Glory, with upgrade paths for your heroes and your units as well. So yeah, that looks fun. We get a couple of armies of renown. So Tar's Grand Forge Host is a pretty good one. You can recycle your units for 1 command point, which is pretty useful, and all of your war machines have a 6+ ward save. Obviously you lose out on the demonic power ability, but instead each battle round you get a different rule added to all your models. So second battle round you get crit 2 hits, third battle round +1 to cast and enchanting, fourth battle round crits go off on a 5+, and the fifth battle round it increases the power level of your stuff as well. So that's pretty cool. You get a couple of unique spells and a couple of unique prayers as well. These seem pretty good as well. So you can stop enemy units from getting critical hits, you can ignore the first point of damage dealt, you can subtract the attack of enemy units. So yeah, quite like this one. I think this is going to be quite a fun one to play. And then on the other hand, the Ziggurat Stampede is a very cavalry favouring one. You basically can just take your big cow monsters, the Bull Centaur units, and a Demon Smith on Infernal Taurus. They've got a really fun ability where for each unit that's already charged, units get +1 to charge. So if 3 units have charged already, your 4th unit to charge gets +3 to the charge roll. So that's pretty fun. All of your models as well can do power through as well, which is pretty cool. And then for a command point, your units can retreat and shoot or fight, and they don't take any mortal damage for falling back. So again, I think this is a pretty cool one. And again, you also get a unique spell lore. You don't get any prayers in this one because obviously you can't take any priests, but the flaming weapons is pretty good in that it increases the rend of your weapons too, making your Bull Centaurs even better than they already are. So yeah, really, really like them. We also get 2 regiments of renown as well. So the Cursed Steel Battery has 1 of each war machines plus a Demon Smith, and basically for a command point you can count one of your war machines as having 3 demonic power points to take advantage of those rules, and then you've got a spell which lets you ignore the first damage allocated to them. All Chaos units can take these, so that's pretty good if you want a nice mix of war gear there. And then the Secret of the Red Dirge is a weird one. So you get a Dominator engine with Bane Maces and an Ashen Elder, and the rules talk about Desolation tokens and being able to kind of get extra ritual points if you're near a Desolation token, but I can't see any way of actually placing the Desolation tokens down if you use the Regiment of Renown. So I don't know if there's an FAQ to go out whether this spell's meant to place a desolation token, or you can use the army ability to place one. It's a little bit unclear, but yeah, if that is executed, you can place them. That'll be pretty useful as well. And that is the Battletome, so really, really fun. What we're going to do now is jump ahead and we'll have a look at the painted models to see what they look like in the flesh. So I've been furiously painting away angry evil dwarfs the last couple of weeks, and I had so much fun working on these. Let's start with the hero in the box, the war despot. Really, really nice model. I'm looking forward to the other heroes coming out. I kind of wish that it was the priest or the Helsmith in the box. Now I was having to dig through my bits and I actually found an old Warhammer World exclusive Helsmith that I've painted up as a tester for the army, just to try and get the colour down. As most on the show know, I tend to try and do the box art scheme. I know a lot of people don't like the purpley colour, but I think it goes really well with the green, especially with the feel like this isn't fire, it's kind of like demonic essence that they're using to fuel their spells and their constructions and stuff. So yeah, if we have a look at the weapon battery, I went for the rocket just because the idea of putting 20 damage on a Lariel or something does appeal to me. Really, really nice weapon. Now it is possible to make this kind of modular between the cannon version and this. This piece just basically sits on this little axle here, and then you could lift it on and off. You would need to put a magnet there or some blue tack. I didn't bother doing it myself because I'm going to pick up one of each anyway, and probably multiples of each, because they're really good and it's easier to kind of paint it when it's all stuck together. I would recommend doing this one in sub-assemblies though, so leave the crew off, leave this top piece off, and then you can get to the interior detail, because otherwise it's a little difficult to do that if you do just kind of stick it on the base. So yeah, paint all the bits separately and then pop it on the base and do that. It's going to make life a lot easier. But yeah, really, really nice. I've kind of gone for multiple tones of metallics on here as well, just to kind of mix it up a little bit. My favourite kind of kit in the box though is the big cow monster. I've gone for the one with Bane maces because I think they look cool. And I think from a rules point of view, this build is probably my favourite as well. But yeah, it goes together really nice. There's a couple of different head options. There's a couple of different like detailing options, just so if you've got multiples in your army, they will all look a little bit different as well. So yeah, really, really like that one, and looking forward to painting up the other one with the immolation cannons, because I think that'll be really fun. And then finally we've got the infantry unit. I've built them with spears because I think, again, from a rules point of view, they're better. There's a really nice transfer sheet in the box too, which yeah, definitely makes life a lot easier for putting details on these banners and stuff. And there's some really nice details on these. So you've got the musician who is kind of just got his kind of gong, which is being carried by a hobgrot. From a rules point of view as well, you can choose to remove him in order to get extra rally rolls, which is pretty good. The champion looks really nice as well. Now I see a lot of people are going to paint these up in the classic kind of red scheme. I think it'd work really well, but I like how kind of like heavily armoured these guys feel. Kind of fits with their slowness on the battlefield as well. So yeah, really, really enjoyed working on these, and I can't wait to paint some more. I do think spears are better than the swords, but obviously it's a different match once you've played some games, isn't it? So interested to making some different lists for these and trying them out. But yeah, that is our look at the Helsmiths of Hashut army set. Really, really excited for the rest of the range to come out for this one. I love it when a new army comes at Age of Sigmar, and they've done such a good job on this one. The models are gorgeous, the rules seem really fun, and considering it's quite a small kind of assortment of units, they've got enough dual kits to give us a bit of variety. And I think the armies of renown as well offer a few different playstyles as well, if you want to go like, you know, cavalry heavy for example. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed that. We do have a full write-up over on spruesandbrews.com as well, where we go into really high detail and everything in the book. It's about 5,000 words, the article, so if you are interested in learning more about the book, head over there. If you have enjoyed this, why don't you give us a follow, give us a like, let us know if you want to start a Helsmiths army as well. And if you would like to support the site as well, we do have an affiliate link to Element Games in the description. Anything you get through there, we get a bit of a kickback which goes towards helping run the site. But yeah, until next time, have a great weekend, and we'll see you soon.